I've just received the package I've been waiting for. 25 hand-selected spices from a shop in Jaipur's legendary markets, shipped straight from Rajasthan to my kitchen in Las Vegas. The moment I opened this box, the aroma told me it was worth the wait. By the end of this video, you'll know how to use each of these spices and which ones earn a permanent spot in my spice box. Earlier this month, I was in India and obviously I had to buy spices. They're finally here, so let's open it together. Alright, these are all the parcels that were in that box. So let's go through them one by one and see what's in them. Let's open the first package. Okay, we've got some, this turmeric is leaking everywhere. We've got some turmeric. Turmeric is earthy, slightly bitter with a musky aroma. Its warm and peppery taste reminds you a little bit of ginger. We've got some Kashmiri red chili powder. Kashmiri red chili has a mild heat, deep red color, and has sweet and fruity flavors with a mild smoky aroma. Then this is another red chili powder that says in Hindi that it's called Teja, and that probably means that it's really hot. We've got another chili powder that also has Tez on it, which probably means this is hot too. So these are the hotter varieties, and I really have to try them because I haven't tried this one before. So really have to try them to figure out how hot they are. Now we've got some of our most used spices here. This is coriander, and I use this mostly in the form of a powder, and I use it in any kind of curry that I'm making or any Indian dish really, whether it's vegetables or chicken or fish. This goes in the powder form in the middle of the cooking process. Saag paneer is one of those dishes where I love using them, and these go really well in fried snacks like kachori. Coriander is citrusy light with a subtle sweetness. It's fresh, has a slightly nutty flavor with lemony undertones. This one here is quite peculiar. I haven't used this a lot in cooking, but this is essentially dried lemon juice in the form of these pellets. And if you're out of fresh lemon juice, this adds this nice tartness. I'm excited to use this in my cooking and just see what it tastes like. Raw lemon is bright, sharp, and acidic. It's intensely citrusy with a tart and zesty flavor. We have some yellow mustard seeds here. Now these have a milder flavor than the black mustard seeds that you typically see, and typically I use them in vegetable dishes. They're also part of Bengali 5-spice or pachporon, which I use in fish curries, etc. And then the other thing that I love to use yellow mustard seeds in is a fish dish that's called Tandoori from Calcutta, or Bengal I should say, where you wrap the fish in a banana leaf and steam them. And this is a perfect addition because it doesn't add too much bitterness but adds a lovely mustard flavor. Yellow mustard seeds have a sharp and pungent but balanced taste and aroma. They're the mildest of all mustard seeds. Now this you must be familiar with. This is nutmeg. I use it as a part of my biryani masala. This also goes really well in the beginning of the cooking process when you're making any kind of a meat dish. I rarely use this as a powder other than in the biryani masala. I might top my hot chocolate off with some grated nutmeg, but that's pretty much it. Nutmeg has a warm, sweet, and slightly nutty flavor with a pungent aroma. It's often described as having notes of pepper and clove. Let's find out what's in this one. This is very exciting. It's like receiving gifts on Christmas for me. Something that I don't use very often in my cooking, but something that I really wanted to have in my pantry, star anise. The most use I get out of this is probably in Chinese cooking for making Chinese spice powder. And then there are some chicken dishes where this goes really well because chicken and this aniseedy flavor works really well. I also add it to my chai sometimes for that nice aniseedy flavor, which goes really well with ginger and the warm spices like cardamom, cinnamon, etc. It works really well. This smells incredible. Star anise is sweet, licorice-like in aroma. Its strong, warm, and sweet flavors are reminiscent of fennel. Okay, we have 2 bags of probably my most used spice, which is cumin. I like to use cumin whole at the beginning of the cooking process, but mainly I use it as a powder in lots of different dishes. The main thing that I can think of is that I recently made on this channel is pav bhaji, where cumin was added to the beginning of the cooking process in butter before frying the onions, and it was also part of the pav bhaji masala. This is a staple in an Indian kitchen, and it can be used in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the cooking process as a tempering. Cumin is earthy, warm, slightly nutty with a pungent aroma. It has a smoky and slightly bitter taste. Then I have clove. This is another staple in garam masala. The simplest garam masala has 3 ingredients in my household: clove, cardamom, and cinnamon. And this is a non-negotiable component in that. Clove is also used in different kinds of sweets in Bengal, but the most use I get out of this is in the form of garam masala. And I recently made a video on chicken biryani where I added this as part of the biryani masala as well. Cloves are intensely aromatic, sharp, and pungent. They have a warm, sweet, and slightly numbing taste. Now these are poppy seeds. This is mainly used in Bengali cooking, or at least that's how I use it. And I will soak them and make them into a paste, and it helps thicken the sauce. I used this in that 300-year-old royal curry or chicken risala that I made. I used this in the form of a creamy paste to add body to the chicken risala that I made on my channel recently. It doesn't add a ton of flavor, but it adds a nice texture and creaminess to anything that you add it in. Poppy seeds have a nutty, toasty, and slightly sweet flavor and aroma. They can also have a subtle bitterness. Now, this spice has had a dedicated video on this channel because I absolutely love it. These are Nigella seeds, and you can add them to any roasted vegetable dish. I use it with cauliflower. I also add it to kachoris and samosas. I think that it adds a nice oniony flavor, which is really unique, and I love using them. Nigella seeds are slightly bitter, peppery with a nutty undertone. They're earthy and onion-like in flavor. You can really smell this cardamom even through this sealed bag. And green cardamom is up there when it comes to my favorite spices just because it's so versatile. I love using it in sweet and savory dishes. When it comes to savory dishes, it's used with meat and vegetables. But when it comes to sweet dishes, in rice puddings as well as in gulab jamun, it's a perfect way to use it. I also add it to my jalebis, and it adds a nice floral hint. Green cardamom is intensely fragrant, fresh and slightly sweet. It has a cool minty flavor with slightly citrus notes. These are fennel seeds. I use fennel seeds as a part of Bengali 5-spice or Pachporon. I will also add fennel seeds as a part of desserts, like deep fried desserts, for instance. And then fennel seeds in savory dishes go really well with chicken and fish. I will add them at the beginning of the cooking process. I don't use it as a powder as often, but I do know that there are many, many Indian dishes where fennel seeds are used in the form of powder. Fennel seeds have an aniseed flavor and a warm, sweet aroma. They're often used as a digestive and mouth freshener and in Bengali 5-spice. Another form of cardamom, black cardamom. This smells so different from the green cardamom. It's so much warmer and spicier in flavor. And this is perfect in any kind of meat dish. So if I'm cooking seafood or chicken, then I'll use the green cardamom that I showed you right here. And if I'm cooking meat, then I'll use black cardamom. And I recently used it in my chicken biryani recipe. It's such a great flavor and it's very potent. Even one of these pods is very effective in adding a nice floral flavor to any meat dish. Black cardamom is smoky, robust, and musky. It has a strong medicinal taste with a deep, intense aroma. These are bay leaves. Now, this is a different kind of bay leaf than the kind of bay leaf that you get here. This is the laurel bay, if I'm not wrong. And this has a slightly different flavor than the bay leaf that you can get in your grocery store. This is used in pretty much every dish, and I recently used it to flavor the rice in my biryani, and it has a very subtle smoky flavor, and it's added to pretty much every dish at the beginning of the cooking process. Bay leaves are herbal, slightly bitter, with a complex aroma. They have a subtle tea-like flavor with woody notes. And there's more. Let's see. Whoa. These are Kashmiri red chilies, whole Kashmiri red chilies. We just looked at the powder. I love using them whole at the beginning of the cooking process. And recently I made this garlic side dish where Kashmiri red chili is one of the main flavoring agents. And we fry these and then crumble them and add it to mashed roasted garlic. And it doesn't add a ton of heat, but it adds a beautiful smoky flavor and really nice color. So if you love chilies but you don't love heat, then this is the one I would recommend. Kashmiri red chilies have a mild heat and a deep red color. They're sweet and fruity in flavor with a mild smoky aroma. These are some dried rose petals. I mean, they look so vibrant compared to the old rose petals that I have. And I used this in the chicken risala that I cooked to echo the flavors of the rose water in the dish. They're used in a lot of Mughlai dishes. And I also used this when I made one of my favorite versions of chai that I had in North Delhi. It's rose, you know what it smells and tastes like, but I think sometimes we can't think of rose in savory dishes, but rose works so well in a lot of different savory dishes like the chicken risala, like biryani. Dried rose petals are soft, delicate with floral notes. They're subtly sweet with a light romantic fragrance. I don't have to tell you what these are. These are some giant cinnamon sticks, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen such huge cinnamon sticks before, and I add this as a part of my garam masala. I add it to biryanis. I added it to the pav bhaji masala. So this is another one of those staples that's used in combination most commonly with cardamom and clove in an Indian kitchen. Cinnamon is sweet, warm, with a woody aroma. It's slightly spicy with a hint of sweetness. This is Asafoetida or hing. It has a very pungent flavor. It kind of smells like onion, garlic, boiled eggs, all mixed together. So it doesn't smell very good and it tastes very pungent if you just eat it on its own. But this in a little bit of a vegetable stir fry, just a pinch in hot oil, does wonders. Like if you don't want to add onion and garlic to a dish that you're cooking, a pinch of this will go a long way in adding those kinds of flavors. I've added this to my Kolkata samosa or shingara, and it is a non-negotiable in that dish. Asafoetida or hing is pungent with a strong sulfurous smell. It's acrid when uncooked, but mellows out when cooked with a garlic-like flavor. It's a giant block of jaggery. Whoa! That's a lot of jaggery. It weighs quite a bit, but I'm often disappointed by the jaggery that I find in the US. It's dry, it looks white, it is hard to break into pieces, and it just doesn't taste good because it's been sitting around on the shelves for a long time. But that's not the case with this. It smells so good. Bicep curls with it. Jaggery has a sweet, earthy flavor and a rich molasses-like aroma. It's often described as having a hint of caramel or butterscotch. What's in this bag? Because it looks different. These are not things I bought. They are gifts from the lovely shop owner. There is one thing that I bought, which is this rose tea. So it's just black tea with some dried rose petals. I would love to try this. Let me know if you want a video comparing this rose tea to the other rose tea that I made on my channel. This is a South Indian curry powder that was made by the shop owner, and he sells these blended spices in these pouches as well. I typically make my own spice powders, but he said he would gift me some for me to try, so I can't wait to use this. And it says here that it's best used with lentils, so I'd love to do that and show you how it tastes someday. This is a chicken tikka masala that it says on the package that it's best for boneless chicken, so it's probably, going into the marinade of a chicken tikka. Instead of my own spice mix, I would use this and then grill it. I mean, this is great. This is really handy to have, and I can't wait to try it. This is another blended spice. This is a Tandoori masala. So this goes on bone-in chicken and for any other kind of barbecue. This would be really good with paneer as well, and I would add it to yogurt and then marinate the chicken and then grill it. This looks really good. And what I love about this, and you can tell that this is not, mass produced, is that the powder isn't very fine. You can tell that this powder has been ground in a small facility and that this is going to be fresh and delicious. Okay, this is a masala chai mix. So this has a bunch of different spices. It says it has green cardamom, clove, black pepper, ginger powder, fennel, ashwagandha, and shilajit. So Apparently, this is supposed to give you a boost in energy, so I can't wait to add it to Ross's chai and see what it does for him. One of my cooking students gave me this beautiful spice box. So now that we have all of our fresh spices in our jars, I thought I would fill this with my most used spices. Now, cinnamon is one of those that I use in garam masala, so always like to have a little bit of cinnamon out. Kashmiri red chili whole. I use this a lot in vegetables, in other side dishes, sometimes with my roast potatoes. So I'm gonna add those in as well. Another staple, bay leaf. This goes in any Indian dish that I'm cooking, from flavoring rice to chicken to seafood. And now some components of garam masala that go along with cinnamon. So some black cardamom, which I absolutely love. Some green cardamom, which I cannot skip. Some cloves. And lastly, but something that I absolutely adore, this grassy, earthy cumin. There we have it, my spice box with my favorite spices. If you enjoyed this video, watch my beginner's guide to spices to learn how to buy, store, and grind your own spices.